That's all right. So we'll continue on. The characteristic of a brand must be unique. Its look, its feel, and distinctive qualities are different than any other brand. A brand must be engaging. Its objective has to match graphically, which in turn will make you want to subconsciously purchase the company's sellable items. It has to be identifiable, which means that you look at or hear the branded item or slogan, and you immediately know what that product or products are. It has to be consistent and used constantly. Once a brand has been nailed down, it must be used in and on all internal and external communication. Now, these are some characteristics that do make up a brand. Do you think there are some that don't make up a brand? Any idea? No? Here are some non-characteristics of a brand: cost, perception, and value. A brand is not cost dependent. In fact, without cost, the brand can still stay intact. Whereas a brand or product, there is nothing to attribute a cost to. The perception the consumer has for the brand or their product places their perceived value on the good or service. Now, these characteristics are dependent on the brand. Without it, there's nothing to visualize and subsequently value. Now, some may say, some may argue that these non-characteristics do make up the brand, claiming that if it were not for these objective items, the brand would not be the brand. Now, in my opinion, this is incorrect. Before any of these characteristics can play a significant role in the brand or its awareness, the brand is still in its simplest form. Additionally, these traits invoke human nature and human emotion, and a brand, before ever being released to the public, is free of human emotion. Now, a brand symbol, its look, and its slogan make up the brand without human emotion. Now, once the human element is added, effective branding then resonates with the consumer's perception, value, and cost psychologies. Now, although these characteristics may not necessarily be a part of the brand, they still rely heavily to excel the brand's marketing potential. So who is this target market, and who are we trying to reach? The consumer. The consumer is you and me. The consumer is a business consumer, and then there's the individual consumer. We are among those who purchase the sellable items of a company. The business consumer. The business consumer is an entity that makes purchasing decisions based on the collective agreement of the entire company. Now, this type of consumer tends to make large multiple quantities of purchases. They also purchase for the long-term investment and tend not to be interested in product life cycle. The individual consumer. The individual consumer is a person that makes purchases based on their needs or their wants. They're looking to satisfy themselves. This type of consumer typically makes single purchases. They purchase for the short term and the long term and are adept to product life cycles, product upgrades. Now, why is the consumer so important? Without the consumer, there's no need for a company. The company's whole purpose is to sell you something, to generate a profit. So the consumer is very important. Now, the whole purpose of a company is to develop a brand and to sell a product or a service to the target market, either the business consumer or the individual consumers, and we're looking to generate revenue. If a product can cross-sell both the business and individual consumer, then your earnings can greatly increase. Now, upon successfully developing your brand as well as a product, you're ready to get it to the consumer. Now, the question becomes, which is the topic of this discussion, how do you market your brand resourcefully and effectively? Marketing and advertising, in my opinion, is the best way to get your brand out and reaching the mass public. Now, I have introduced two terms, marketing and advertising. Would anyone want to take a stab and know the difference?